So for Santa brunch, obviously every child gets to meet Santa, but on top of that, every kid gets a breakfast. They get to do like a little venue walk where they can go and do like a treasure hunt, which is included in their kids packs. They've also got little colouring in books that they've got, loads of little bits of different pieces, and they also get to walk away with a little thing called reindeer food, because obviously the reindeers are important too. It just means a lot knowing that we're giving something back to, the families where they might not be able to have that little bit on Christmas Day. They get something, and that means, it's heartwarming more than anything.
This is a platform alteration.
I think the literature should be clearer. I think people should be given that more upfront rather than trying to hide terms and conditions in small print. And I think we've effectively become a bit of an easy target for prosecutions, and we've seen that with the overturning of quite a lot of convictions in the last few months.
The GB Junior Culinary team are preparing to continue celebrations after their double bronze placement at the Culinary Olympics earlier this year. The competition took place in Stuttgart, Germany in February. I spoke to pastry chef for the team, Luke Jeffs, who reflected on his time in competition.
Favourite moment being part of this team, definitely walking across that world stage, looking out to over 10,000 people, live streamed on television, while we walk across the stage, carrying our flags to our national anthem, being proud that we are part of the United Kingdom.
The junior team placed only behind Sweden and Switzerland, who both had budgets which were over $500,000 more than Great Britain's. The GB team were also helped by a few famous faces in preparation for the event.
So we've had chefs come in, mentor us, such as Gordon Ramsay, Marco P.R. White. We've had quite big names put in their ideas and everything into the dishes.
Oliver Grieve, another Team GB star, shared some of the difficulties managing the heavy workload of the team and a budding culinary career.
As a chef, like being young, if you want to do well in your career, you need to, devote yourself to either an amazing restaurant or an amazing chef where you can learn and develop. And taking, a year out to, well, not a year out necessarily, but having a year of devotion to a team, it's a lot of work. Yeah. And especially if needing to travel or just make it to meetings and doing work outside of work and doing work outside of the team meetings, it's a lot.
Jeffs, who is also studying to become a dietitian, shared his hopes for his last few years as a qualifying member for the under-25s GB team.
It'd be nice to see a gold, have a gold around our neck, but I think more importantly it's inspiring the young people to realise what chefing can be. It's to show off the best of what British Isles have got. Mm-hmm. And personally I'd like to be able to move on to a coaching role and help progress and teach those young children about the world of fire.
As the days get colder and the pavements begin to ice over, the risk of harm for people who walk near the river and canal pathways around Manchester is increasing. 193 people accidentally drowned in the UK in 2024, and in the last 5 years, Greater Manchester firefighters have responded to 66 accidental drowning deaths. Whilst local authorities have installed safety barriers and railings, as well as improved lighting and grab rails, there are still major safety risks for those who use the water pathways in the winter. Even for strong swimmers, cold water shock can render you paralysed from muscle failure, and strong undercurrents can pull people underwater in a matter of seconds. If you see someone else in trouble, Greater Manchester Fire Service advises members of the public to remember call, tell, throw. Call 999, tell the person to float on their back and stay calm, and throw them something that they can grab onto. If you yourself find yourself in difficulty in the water, the most important thing to do is don't panic. Thrashing around and hyperventilating are signs of cold water shock, but they should pass in just a few minutes. Instead, tilt your head back so your ears are submerged, relax and try and breathe normally, and spread your arms and legs and move them about to help you stay afloat. Once your breathing is stable, then it is safe to call for help. If you are caught in a current, point your feet downstream to kick any obstacles out of the way. Located alongside Manchester's rivers and canals are these safety throw lines. To use these throw lines, you must dial 999 and tell them where you are, and they will give you the code, and then you simply throw the bag to the person who is in trouble and attach the line to drag them back to safety. It is important to note that many of the injuries and deaths in the canals in Manchester have been linked to alcohol consumption. So if you've been on a night out, you've been for a few drinks, just avoid the canals generally. Whilst you cannot eliminate the risk of falling into cold water, knowing how to save yourself or someone else may just save a life.
Across the country, high streets like this are undeniably recognisable. Vape shops have become a sometimes unwarranted staple of the UK shops, and vapers are everywhere. Whilst the government has already banned the limited use of disposable vapes and are proposing as part of the new Pride in Place initiative that local communities could have the power to ban new vape shops from opening, are we doing enough to reduce the number of vapers among us? Manchester has approximately 110 active vape shops as of February 2024, ranking third in the UK for the number of vape retailers per 100,000 residents. Out of the top 5, 4 northwest boroughs are present. 15.8% of 18 to 24-year-olds are vaping daily or occasionally, compared to 7% in 2020. One UCL study claims that number is as high as 29%.
So I worked for a company called Vape Dinner Lady in Blackburn, and then I was the digital e-commerce apprentice. So there was like a tobacco and smoking regulation that made sure that the wording was like very specific on what you could and couldn't say, and also we had quite a few all of the pretty much people that we could send out emails to had to be over 18. But it also wasn't checked that much because it's like the way that, in fairness it is now, but the way you could do it then was you have to put in like digital ID or anything like that. You could just say, oh yeah, I'm 18, and at the end of the day they were always for profit. Every single morning I started was with one meeting where I would pretty much report all of the profits from the day and then like the progression to the goal that we needed to hit, and they didn't really care about anything else. It was never like, oh, we need to do this for the people to get better, or like, oh, we need to do this for kind of people to stop smoking and move on to this. It was always pure profits.
The Prime Minister has announced the Pride in Place programme, which could give local communities the power to stop more vape shops opening on their high streets. But what about the places people are allowed to vape? There are currently only some restrictions as to where you cannot vape, such as public transport and hospitals. And whilst vape adverts are not permitted on television and radio, vape companies are free to advertise in public. If these decisions fell under public authority, what would young people want done?
What I would say is I think it's okay. I think the law's okay at the moment. I think people just need to be vigilant about where they're vaping, like around kids and stuff. I think
that it was like a healthy alternative to smoking. So for like about 10 years time, maybe, like when they introduced it, it was meant to be this healthy alternative, but now it's just advertised to like the younger generation with all these colourful flavours.
It should be a preventative to smoking, whereas now it's become a readily available alternative.
Yeah, you can just get like apple and pear fruit.
With smoking, it's very strict, and most places don't even let you vape indoors anyway. There's just no real like authority behind it, so people don't really take it seriously.
Quiet outside the doors, no music, no laughter, no dancing. This is the reality faced by many nightclubs across the country. In fact, with 10 clubs closing down a week, the UK could see the end of clubbing before 2030. In the last year, Manchester has lost some of its iconic clubs. However, the situation's a dire one for nightclubs. Raves seem to be doing better than ever. When the end of clubbing seems imminent, why is it that people are being drawn to the fast-paced environment and electronic beats that raves offer?
Well, with the clubbing, it's always like everyone's there to either get with people or just like, there's just a load of like people that you don't really want to be around there. And I feel like unless you're with the right people, it's just always a really bad night. Whereas with raves, everyone's just there for the love of the music, to have fun, like everyone just wants to dance.
Chloe Eaton from Poynton goes to day raves regularly. She has worked with drum and bass companies online to promote raving, as well as promoting a new craze, day raving.
I love a day rave, only because I don't like getting home late. Like, it's fun at the same time, like staying out all night, whatever, like everyone's doing the same thing. But at the same time, like if I can go to a rave at 12 and then be in bed at 11 and then can just go about my next day as normal, like I won't even feel rough because I'll still have like 9 hours sleep, even no matter how much I like drink the day before. So like it just really helps and it's fun, and I can still go to the rave and have an experience without losing out on 2 days of my life.
Kobe Thompson is a DJ who has worked in clubs and raves.
With clubbing, like, you're a resident DJ, you get booked for the whole night there, you're the only DJ that plays, and it is you continuously, whereas with raving, like, you'll have a time slot, then the DJ after you'll have a time slot, and it breaks it up a lot more. Like, you don't get the tiredness of thinking, well, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to do that, and like, it gets very repetitive. I find out when you're a club DJ, you can only play track to track to track, and as much as it is like still enjoyable, I personally believe that if I'm a DJ, I should be mixing my songs.
Also, many think that it is a safer environment to drink and take drugs in raves because there is mandatory drug testing to make sure that what you're taking is clean.
I've personally experienced, like, when you go to a club, when you get too drunk, like, there is no form of medical, there is no form of anyone that is there to actually help you. You have security that is there that will kick you out, and obviously they'll make sure you're okay to an extent, but it's not their job role to look after you. Whereas if you go to certain raves and stuff, and they know that obviously some substances do get taken or people do drink, and that's why they become more well equipped with it. Like, you have the medical, they have all the first aiders, and they actually make sure that you're okay before you're allowed to leave.
Whilst we see more people gravitate towards the fast-paced environment of a rave, we may see more of our iconic clubs closing their doors. Lily Holt, Keys News.